Are you looking for a fresh perspective? Because we have just the coffee for you this week, if you are. It's Greater Goods, fresh perspective, a natural Ethiopia, and a super clean one at that. And I'm gonna let Brian tell you a little bit more about this coffee too.
So as Hailie mentioned, this is an Ethiopian natural coffee, and it's definitely more on the lighter end of medium. And what's really cool with this coffee that we've been trying out is it tastes a lot different depending on what brewing method you're using. So
really does. Some might say better. Depending on.
I think my brew method is better, which is espresso. But
you think?
Yeah, maybe it is.
You think?
But in espresso, it tastes like strawberry. I'm getting a clear hit of strawberry with a really sweet finish. And in filter,
I mean, I also, when I said you think, my voice cracked a little bit because I was just I'm just like bursting at the seams with how delicious it is, brewed on our Stagg X dripper, which is the filter that we refer to in this context. It's super delicious. It comes out like very blue fruit, so like blueberry, maybe even like blueberry muffin. Super, super clean though. Everything that I would want from like a jammy natural with none of those lingering like super, super heavy after flavors. Maybe a little kind of like, maybe a little retronasal stuff going on, but not too much lingering. It's super chef's kiss.
So it's not so light where you're getting punched in the face
No.
with this like crazy acidity. There is acidity to this, but I think it's a very pleasant acidity. Definitely like a smooth acidity in espresso. I have not tried this in pour-over world yet, and I'm gonna have Hailie talk about that.
I mean, you should try it. I would probably think that it's less punchy in pour-over world, which might make some people think that this is the better brew method.
But we all have our personal preferred brewing method. Hailie's is clearly this pour-over stuff.
Stagg
Mine is
X.
espresso.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have Hailie show you now how to brew this as a pour-over, and then I'll show you the better one.
Wow.
And then I'll show you after how to pull this as an espresso. And then we're gonna try each other's brews out, and we're gonna see which one we like better.
I'm gonna brew stuff.
Yeah, and Hailie's gonna brew stuff.
I'm gonna give you a fresh perspective, the better perspective.
All right, let's go ahead and show you how to brew this as a pour-over on the Stagg X dripper.
Sweet, so I am here with the fresh perspective from Greater Goods. Again, super freaking stoked about this natural. It's everything that I would have wanted in a natural from a couple of years ago. I mean, at times I feel like I just bit into a blueberry muffin with this coffee. Still not a super heavy mouthfeel, just like a little bit of jamminess, clean finish. So it's like best of both worlds, right? I'm gonna show you how to brew it on Stagg X filter. I think that filter really brings out that clarity, that like balance between clarity and jamminess, and also brings out that acidity as kind of like a secondary player, like an undertone to the overall like super fruit forward character, super sweet character. We had a guest in earlier that we brewed this coffee with, and they said it tasted like Smarties a little bit, which was really interesting. So definitely pushing that candy sweet, but definitely also pushing that blue fruit. Really just like straight up fresh fruit situation happening. But I'm gonna show you how to brew it. Some might say the better way to brew this coffee would be filter. Who am I to say better or worse? I mean, I'm just going with what the people have told me. You know, the people being me. No, all jokes aside, I'm gonna measure out 23 grams of coffee this time because, as Brian said, this coffee toes the line between light and medium really well. So I'm gonna push a little more out of it. I'm going to grind 23 grams instead of our sort of standard baseline 22, a little bit above that 16:1. On Ode with SSP that I calibrated 5 clicks off chert, I'm gonna grind 1 notch below 4 or at 4. If you're using Ode with standard burrs, I would grind probably at 3, so like medium fine, medium fine on any other grinder is where we're at with this for sure. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grind this coffee so then we can brew this coffee the better way. I'll always wanna pre-wet your filter. Why? I'll let you answer. I can't hear you, so I'm gonna answer for you. One reason is to pull all of that like initial papery taste out of the paper filter. The second and most important reason is that you want to pre-warm your dripper and your vessel. And of course with Stagg X, once you pre-warm, it's really gonna retain that heat and it's really gonna help you in extraction because coffee likes temperature to extract. And the reason it retains its heat super well is that it is double-walled insulated stainless steel. So once it heats up, it's heated up. All right, so we are feeling pretty good. We're at temp. We're gonna make sure to get the last bit of water out. Dump this water out too, because nothing ruins your brew faster than starting to brew over close to 300 grams of water, if not over 300 grams of water. I mean, I talk a lot. I am going in 23 grams in to 350 out, a little bit above a 16:1 ratio. I've got water at 205 degrees Fahrenheit. This coffee doesn't really need any extra help bringing out sweetness. I think that brewing at lower temperatures might even make it a little bit pushing on the overly punchy side. But if you do like something that's like really, really fruit bomby, really, really sweet in your face and you need more than this coffee gives you, definitely recommend lowering the temperature just slightly. And here we go. And pour this in. Again, I ground 23 grams of coffee at actually a 1 notch below 4 on my Ode with SSPs that I calibrated 5 clicks off chirp. Medium, fine on any grinder. And sweet, gonna make sure my bed of grounds is flat and even. I want the best chance that I can to make a delicious cup of coffee and also beat Brian at this coffee competition, this little fun, lighthearted coffee competition that we have going on here. And we'll get started. Start the timer. And I'm going to pour probably close to like 47 to 50 grams in. If you go a little over, it's all right. Try not to get too over, but you want to do roughly 2 times the water as coffee that you put in order to get a good soak going, a good bloom. Now, I like to let this coffee bloom around 35 seconds. I think that's, it seems that it stops outgassing at the age that it's at currently, right around there. And this coffee is really, really punchy, so if you want to let it bloom for a little bit longer, depending on the age, sometimes I can mellow it out just a little bit more. But all right, we're going up to 150 grams. And with this recipe, it's gonna finish, you're gonna feel like it's going really slow because it is gonna be going really slow compared to a lot of other recipes and like grind settings that we've talked about. Just depending, I mean, I would pull back the grind setting. Again, I'm working with a little bit of an aged out fresh perspective right now, which is still delicious. I mean, this is about a month aged out and it's still complex and it's still fruit punchy and it's just still wow. But I would recommend very much pulling back and coarsening the grind setting. The newer the fresh perspective you have been bestowed upon bestowed. Who needs English anyway? All right, let's go for the second pour. We're gonna go up to 250 grams as we do, going all the way out to the edge of the filter and then back in, or vice versa. Really doesn't matter as long as you're constantly in motion and soaking everything evenly. We're gonna make sure that everything's moving along nicely. We're gonna make sure there aren't any pockets on the inside, like hiding little pockets of coffee that you haven't soaked yet, because that would promote uneven extraction. If I'm talking too much, let me know I'm talking too much in the comment section. I like talking about coffee. I was gonna say no one is gonna stop me, but I just asked you to tell me, so, you know, whatever. All right, here's the last pour, 350 grams. It's gonna get you right to that 12-ounce mark. And here we go. Again, even concentric circles. This is the one that is really, really important not to overpour on. Even a couple of grams can really change the outcome of your extraction, excuse me. And you want to make sure, even if that means not talking right at the end like I just did. Ooh, sweet. 349.8, I'll take it. That's good. So 0.3 in and out is really, 0.3 above or below is really what you're aiming for. If you're at 351, that's not gonna really make or break you. 349, same thing, but once you start getting to like 352, 353, and further departures, that's where it really will start to affect the outcome of your brew and that ratio. Sweet, so we're at 326 right now, and water's only halfway down through the slurry, if you can believe it. So we're probably gonna finish, I'm gonna make a wild guess at probably 410, maybe even 415. Again, this coffee is very aged out, and an aged out natural, you want to push the brew time a little bit longer so it's not super tannic or under extracted. You want to let it brew longer to kind of like push that mellowness out of it a little bit more. Was I wrong? Was I wrong? Are we gonna finish sooner than that? Wow, we might finish at 4:07, mark my words. Yep, 4:07, thank you. The crowd goes wild. There's no crowd in here going wild. I'll imagine it, it's fine. Again, at the end of your brew, you wanna make sure that you're doing the hardest thing that you possibly can do at the end of the brew. Because sometimes these grounds can really read you for filth and tell you that you were super uneven in areas and tell you that you concentrated too hard on some areas and not hard enough on other areas. If you see mountains, you didn't concentrate on that area enough, and if you see valleys, like big depressions, you were pouring too hard and concentrating too hard on one area. I don't know, you tell me, guys. I see a couple little divots in there that I could have been more even, but overall it's all right. And jokingly said, read you for filth. Honestly, this is probably the best criticism that you can get because it's the most honest. It's not gonna lie to you. See you in a minute.
All right, I hope you enjoyed watching Hailie show you how to brew this Greater Goods Fresh Perspective as a pour over. Now I'm gonna show you how to brew it as an espresso. What's really cool with this is that we're getting a completely different berry note as an espresso compared to the pour over. In the pour over, we get that blueberry note, but in espresso, we're getting this red strawberry note that then has a nice sweet cream finish. So that's really cool because it shows you that this coffee is fairly flexible across different brewing methods. But I want to show you a recipe that I've been really enjoying for this coffee, and that is 18 grams in, 54 grams out in around 28 to 32 seconds. Now, this is going to depend a lot on what grinder you have, what machine you have, but I think this is a good baseline recipe to start. Try to use a fairly high temperature as this is a lighter roast coffee. Now, I do want to mention, as an espresso, because this is a lighter roast coffee, you might get a bit of acidity, but the acidity here doesn't really seem to be super punchy in your face, especially at that 1:3 ratio. First of all, a longer ratio espresso is generally clearer than a 1:2. And second is that with these lighter roast coffees, if you pull 1:2, it might be a little bit acidic. You might just get punched in the face with acidity. I'm recommending you pull a little bit longer so you can actually taste some of these flavor notes. So I have some tools that I would highly recommend. One is a dosing ring, and the second is going to be a WDT tool. I have both of them here. Let me now prep a puck and pull a shot of this. I'm just using 18 grams again, and I have my dosing funnel on the portafilter. 18 grams there. I then take my Weiss distribution tool, my WDT, and I go in and I'm going to break up all the clumps and distribute the grounds throughout my puck, and then it's going to be perfect for tamping. All right, so I've distributed and leveled all of the grounds throughout, broke up all those broke up all the clumps. So now I'm just gonna give this a tamp, and there we are. Perfect to pull a shot. So if you're using a bottomless portafilter, your visuals of how pretty your shot is might not be the best, especially with some of these lighter roast coffees. This Greater Goods Fresh Perspective is a little bit light, but trust me, taste the coffee before you judge. And I'm going to stop at 54 grams. All right. That, while it pulled, was not the nicest looking shot, but I stopped it at around 27 seconds. You still get nice crema in your shot, but this is definitely a style of espresso that is more optimized for that longer ratio to actually be able to taste those flavor notes. I think for these lighter roast coffees, it's okay to trade that potential body and the texture that you may like in that 1:2 traditional style of espresso for that longer ratio, high clarity espresso. So you'll be able to actually taste the strawberries in this coffee. In this style of espresso, you definitely get that strawberry note up front, you get that high clarity, and then it transitions into a sort of sweet cream, has a very sweet finish, which is something that I think is a bit unexpected for some of these lighter roast coffees. That's how you pull this coffee as an espresso. I think this is a coffee that works really well straight, especially if you're pulling 1 to 3. If you do dump this in milk and you do actually steam some milk, it does kind of taste like a strawberry milkshake, which is very interesting. But for me, I really like this in a 1 to 3 espresso. I think you get a nice presentation of the flavor note. All right, I'm gonna pull another shot and I'm gonna have Hailie try this out, and I hope she enjoys it. That was how you brew both pour over and espresso of this Greater Goods Fresh Perspective. I'm gonna trade my brew with Hailie. So I have a nicely pulled shot here, 18 in, 54 out.
What were you saying? I'm sorry?
What? And she just gave me a nicely aerated pour over. I'm gonna trade.
Well, cheers. May the best, may the best brew method win. All right, guys, we have something to tell you. All jokes aside, coffee is extremely subjective, right? We're gonna give you the fresh perspective right now. See what I did there?
Yeah.
I liked that actually. The fresh perspective right now, that neither brew method was actually better, and we knew that the whole time.
Just wanted to do something fun for you all.
Just wanted to, you know, everyone loves a good coffee fight, right? We wanted to throw ourselves in the ring for it, but honestly, one, I would never want to fight my friend Brian here. And two, coffee is so subjective that any brew method is really going to be up to preference. This espresso is freaking delicious.
And what's really cool is that you're able to get these completely different perspectives.
Oh, two different perspectives.
Of the same coffee using different brewing methods. And in espresso, you get that red fruit strawberry, and in filter and pour over, we're getting blueberries.
And who's to say either one is the fresh perspective? I think I had to do it one more time. I had to do it once more. Yeah, that's a Buffy reference to any fans out there. But they're both really delicious, and I mean, thanks for playing, Brian. Honestly, I feel like we're both winners here, and I promised myself that I wouldn't cry. But I might get a little weepy. This is actually freaking delicious.
This is really good.
What did you pull this espresso out again?
This is like it's like 18 in, 54 out.
I wasn't allowed to know the secrets before, so. Wait, is that a 1 to 3?
1 to 3.
1 to 3? 1 to 3?
It's not allowed here. What?
Oh my god.
Long ratio
oh my
espresso?
Gosh.
What's going on here? Well, that was Greater Goods Fresh Perspective.
Boom.
We hope you enjoyed watching us brew both on the Stagg dripper as well as espresso.
We hope you have a fresh perspective.
Thank
you so much for spending the time with us. We seriously love making these drop videos to hang out with you. I mean, virtually hang out with you. Thanks so much for watching this week's Drops video. Again, if you have any suggestions, comments, questions, concerns, you just want to send us some love, the comment section below is where you hit us up. Drop us a line. Text us back, really. If you want to order coffee from us, text us back on Tuesdays when that window is open, and we'll send you a bag or 10, however many you want. I mean, some people drink more coffee than others. You know, I mean, I drink a lot of coffee, and I am not judging at all.
Yeah,
not here to judge.
You guys do order a lot of coffee every single Tuesday, but I think this is
more
a coffee.
Power to you.
But I think today's is definitely worth checking out.
It's very versatile.
This is a very versatile coffee.
Shows its different faces, I would say.
Yeah, you get many different perspectives depending on what brew method you use. But otherwise, thank you for spending the time to watch today's Drops videos. I'm Brian.
And I am Hailie.
And we want to thank you so much for spending the time to hang out with us, watch us brew. And if you have any questions regarding fellow drops, fellow products,
anything at all,
any coffee thing, feel free to leave those in the comments below, text us back, and we'll get back to you. But thank you again for spending the time, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.